Evelyn guarded the gates of Ulster like she did her bedroom window at the sea home. Bet you anything Meb's still going to get past her, though, Rob said. Rob was little Miss's brother. It was just like they were at the home together while Laine was staffing. Yeah, but still, Houston said, I can barely recognize her. Maeve was at the gates of Ulster with King Aillil right behind, but it took the rest of the troops, and especially the stragglers, a few minutes to catch up. Still, Laine got wind of what was being said. She was mid-ranks with Fergus. She also knew what was being said from the story itself, that Maeve was stopped at the gates by the prophet maid Fedelm, who warned her not to cross unless she wanted to lose all her troops. She says there's a boy hero, one of the youths said, who is single-handedly stronger than her troops and all of our armies combined. Ha ha, you're funny, Rob said. No one's that powerful. You're funny was Rob's ultimate comeback, especially when asked to do something by one of the staff. On closer examination, Laine realized Evelyn was standing behind the gates of Ulster. That's where they were all headed. Who knew Evelyn was really an otherworld creature of the She? A thin fairy creature, like a will-o'-the-wisp. But it made sense. She was only 15 but seemed much older. She was just as beautiful and fragile in real life, but also strong. Just one look at her, Laine knew it was her. The one whose upbringing forced her to live in tents and forts of her own making. Like the way Evelyn, aka Fedelm, had prophetic abilities. Just like Morgan. She could appear as both a beautiful, sensual woman or as an ugly old hag. Now she was in her sensual woman form. She had a crown of leaves on her head. Her neck and skin around her scalp was covered with moss. Her bangs slicked back with gel. Her suffering and rage had given way to the raw, unique power of insight. The only way she would talk was through a busted-out, broken window, leaning against Evelyn's wall, and now they spoke through a similar threshold. Apparently it went as such, though Laine couldn't hear it, and was only jotting notes down from what she remembered from the story. Maeve addressed the child. On Midsummer's Eve, warriors join my army from Connacht, and we draw our provinces to meet you at the gates. What say you, Fedelm? What do you predict about this battle? The child remained quiet and waited. There she was, Evelyn guarding the gates of her personal freedom and defending it from invaders. The rock fence was the only thing stopping Maeve's army from advancing into Ulster. Seeming displeased with no immediate answer, Maeve said, "Will my mighty army capture Dawn?" "I see blood," Fedelm said, and Aillil's hawk took to the air as if to validate this. Laine was staring at Aillil's hawk flying over. He was beautiful, even though he was trained not to like her. "Pretty bird," she said, "pretty bird." Laine was glad she'd learned to make herself happy, doing what she loved, and that it set her apart, no matter what anyone else thought about that. The hawk seemed to glare at her as if to say, "Back off, bird-watching goes both ways." Laine didn't really know what that meant. She had seen it on someone's shirt once and thought it was funny. Laine walked on the tracks made of branches. She was already seeing these makeshift roads were quite effective in separating the vast miles of bog and woodland, the gentle crests and river valleys up ahead. But for now all she saw was mist, and she edged her way through it, getting closer to Maeve by taking the horse the long way around at a more determined pace. She had lost track of Fergus, but some of the kids had taken her lead and followed her the long way around. Her only thought was to find Cuchulainn, because he was the boy warrior of whom they had spoken, and warn him of Maeve's imminent crossing into Ulster before it was too late. As to her location, it was all confusing, forming a kind of half-logic that only seemed to make sense in dreams. Laine could see that land above the gate now, which was like Laine's place on Roman Hill, back in Montana. Connected just down the road was Mill Creek, the nature trail she used to walk. It seemed Laine was swept in a whirlwind of memory and experience, flying solo and with others, in what Carl Jung, the philosopher, called the collective unconscious, where dreams and psyches merge in a collective whirlpool, because we are all connected. That's the best way she could describe it. Maybe that's why Evelyn was there at the gate when Laine came riding up on horseback. Not in the van with her anymore, driving down I-90 towards Corvallis, as if they were picking up a youth some years ago. It was true her story might be a little warped and twisted, but some people might appreciate it the way Darjeeling tea is appreciated. It is said the tea leaves break apart and are jostled when the farmer takes it down the mountain in its container, which gives it a unique flavor. She got that idea from her favorite YouTuber named Yang Haiying, who had 173,000 subscribers. "Fedelm, prophet maid, speak," Maeve threatened, catching up to her husband at the gate. Up close, Laine could see how bizarrely Maeve and Aillil's armies were part of the same army, but divided by a couple at war. Maybe it didn't make sense, but she was sure it happened all the time. Raising kids and leading an army weren't so different after all. "What feats could a solitary boy raise against an army my size?" Maeve persisted. Laine pictured it then, this odd pairing, the lone teenager Cuchulainn against Queen Maeve's army. "You're not going to like this," Fedelm said. "The future doesn't look too good for you." That was like when Evelyn read out Gwen's tarot spread at the sea home and brought up the death card. "Sorry, but your future doesn't look too bright," she said back then. Laine remembered how she used to watch non-stop tarot card readings on YouTube and was glad she didn't do that anymore. A great future doesn't require a great past, Laine wanted to say, and she didn't need some cards to tell her that. It was the natural instinct in humans and animals to want to lick a wound, but too much licking could keep the wound from healing or even cause infection. Just like being down in the dumps too long can get a person from moving on to a more productive and positive experience in the future. She could stand around feeling sucky or start planning a better day. It was possible that one could have a bad start to a race but a great ending, and even end up winning. Laine knew what Evelyn was saying was true about Cuchulainn having the capacity to take out Mebd's entire army. The rest of the Ulstermen were out with a disability from Maka's curse in the pre-tale. Maeve thought she had an easy shot at invading Ulster. The Ulstermen got labor pains in the height of battle for what they had done to Maka, but Cuchulainn stayed strong, so it was his mission to protect the bull single-handedly and keep it on Ulster turf. For him, that meant either screwing or killing everyone that threatened his territory. Laine could hear his voice like an omen upon them. I will kill all of which have set forth on my land. But when he got drunk, he was cursed with a misfortune far more terrible than labor pains in the height of battle. And this was the inability to discern friend from foe. So even though he was undefeatable, he got in his own way. Fine, it's your funeral, Fedelm said, stealing one of Rob's lines, causing the trailing ranks to snicker. That's a mark, Maeve said. Okay, fine, I'm sorry. I'm just saying I didn't do it. But I'll pay for the replacement window anyway, Fedelm said. Maeve winked at her. Now for God's sake, move out of the way, she said, pushing past Fedelm and bursting through the fortress. She turned her face and said something to Aillil. Laine heard their final squabble as man and wife, while Fedelm withdrew herself. Under her breath, Fedelm spoke. I guess I'm too young. I don't get to decide what happens to my own body. Gee, thanks a lot, Evelyn said. I don't know how that window got broken, Fedelm yelled after Gwen, since she had already passed. In silence, she screamed, At least let me decide who passes through my own gate.
You know, that's act bad. Like, hey, lil' homie, come here. Let me talk to you real quick.
Shit.
You better act like you got some goddamn sense. The revolution, y'all, will not be televised. You gotta wake up, open your eyes, make a change in your life, find a new way of living. It's time to start living for the children. The revolution, y'all, will not be televised. You gotta wake up, open your eyes, make a change in your life and find a new way of living. It's time to start living for the children. You see, I only want what's best for you. Get your ass out them streets, I don't give a damn about no crew. Get your diploma, not no GED. You can make a
Thanks for watching my video, guys. I'll be back with another video next Wednesday. Until then, ciao!